Sue? Brian?
Bill, are you doing the advancement?
Okay, ready? Good evening. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and welcome everybody here tonight for the opportunity to have a review of the approved budget for Red Creek Central School. This is going to be provided by Mr. McDonald, and Dr. Corey will be providing that information. So as a business meeting, as it is, there's certain aspects that we have to go through, and you'll hear some of that being read as we go through. So without any further delay, Mr. McDonald, I'll turn it over to you.
What I'll be reading next is the review of voter qualifications and the officers for the annual meeting and the voting process. To vote in the annual school district vote and election, a voter must meet the following three qualifications. 1, be a citizen of the United States. 2, be 18 years of age or older. 3, a resident of the school district for a period of at least 30 days prior to the date of the vote. Voting will be conducted by use of paper ballots. Voters will also have the option of writing in candidates. If a voter anticipates not being available to vote at the appointed voting place on the date of the vote, that voter may vote by absentee ballot. Absentee ballots are available at the district office and must be completed and received at the district office no later than 5 p.m. on the day of the vote. Officers of the annual school district vote and election are as follows. The election of inspectors will be Melissa Hoisington, Aileen Fuller, Marie Stanton, Christine Tuttle, Jean Wilkinson, and Jane Stevenson. The clerk will be William McDonald. The assistant clerks will be Heidi Dates, Marie Smith, Randall Lawrence, Deborah Lawrence, Kathy Thomas, Harold Thomas, Sharon Henderson, Julia Iozio, Jean Wilkinson, and Jane Stevenson. The ballot for the May 17, 2022 annual vote and election contains 4 items that may be voted on. The first is the school budget proposition. It reads, shall the following resolution be adopted, to wit resolved, that the Board of Education of the Red Creek Central School District be authorized to spend the sum of $24,181,814 as set forth in the 2022-23 budget and to levy the necessary taxes for this purpose. The second proposition is the bus purchase proposition. It reads, shall the following resolution be adopted, to wit, resolved that the Board of Education of the Red Creek Central School District be authorized to purchase and or lease 2 66-passenger diesel engine school buses for a total amount not to exceed $275,000 and to pay for such vehicles with monies, obligations, bus purchase reserve funds, or installment purchase contracts as said the Board of Education deems appropriate in accordance with education law and local finance law, and to levy a tax on the real property of the district to pay for the same. The third proposition is the Red Creek Free Library proposition, and it reads, shall the following resolution be adopted, to wit, resolved that the Board of Education of the Red Creek Central School District be authorized to assess and levy upon the taxable property of the district an additional amount of $12,000 for a total sum of $64,000 annually, said sum being the amount requested by the Board of Trustees of the Red Creek Free Library for library purposes, and pay over said amount to the library pursuant to Section 259 of the Education Law of the State of New York. And the fourth and final proposition is the Board of Education membership election. You can vote for any 3. For the election of 3 board members, 1 2-year term beginning July 1st, 2022 and ending on June 30th, 2024, and 2 3-year terms beginning July 1st, 2022 and ending June 30th, 2025, to fill the expiration of the terms of Susan A. Cook, Lawrence E. Curtis, and Darrell T. Utes. The 6 candidates that will appear on the ballot are Nancy J. Henner Dingman, Lawrence E. Curtis, incumbent, Stephanie L. Kaiser, Susan A. Cook, incumbent, Elizabeth V. Decker, and Jolene B. Bliss.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. You've done the review now. At this point, what I'd like to do is, the introductions, and I'm allowing for the prospective board candidates to be able to introduce themselves at this business meeting, and also so that the public knows and welcoming of them, for May 10th, the Red Creek Teachers Association will be hosting a Meet the Candidate Night, which all these candidates will be given the opportunity to share certainly more fully of what their interest is and why they want to become part of the board. Tonight is more of an introduction. So with that, at this time, I'd like to give each candidate the opportunity to introduce themselves. We'll have you come up in the order that you are listed on the ballot. So I see Nancy Dingman is here. So let's start with Nancy J. Dingman, please. I think that's on.
Hello, my name is Nancy Henner Dingman, and except for a 5-year hiatus, I've been a lifelong resident of Fairhaven. I'm a member of a class of 1993, mother to a 10-year-old, and a friend to many Red Creek Central School District residents. I've been an advocate of children for all of my life. I've been an educator at the middle school and high school levels and have been a school administrator for more than 16 years. Each decision I make can always be justified with, is this good for the students? No one in our community has such a wide range of knowledge about school finances, and I know I'm a strong enough candidate to ask the questions to make sure that the community's assets are protected from students, faculty and staff, and financial decisions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nancy. The next on the draw with the opportunity to introduce themselves, and you can do that right from your mic, Mr. Curtis.
Hi, I'm Lawrence Curtis. Everybody calls me Larry. So, Red Creek resident for all my life. Previously owning my own business, moving south. I was on the board for 12 years before coming back to here, and then I came back here to move back into Red Creek School District. Been on the board. This will be my 2nd term. So, appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis. The third on the ballot is Stephanie L. Kaiser.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Kaiser. I've been a resident of the Red Creek School District for the past 16 years, married to a Red Creek alum, mother of a 13-year-old, almost 14-year-old, active in sports and other school activities. Looking forward to meeting with everybody next week at the Meet the Candidate Night and share some visions and ideas. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Next, Mrs. Cook.
Hello, I'm Susan Cook. I have recently served on the board 3 years ago. I did a 4-year term. This year I stepped in with the resignation of Kyle Mendoff. And I bring to the board, a very deep roots in this community. I was born and raised here, alumni of this district. I moved back here with my small children. They're both alumni of the school. I've worked in the school both as a substitute teacher and in the business office. And I was also a high school business teacher for 4 years and then moved into an administrative role through Wayne Finger Lakes BOCES and actually had a time of being the Red Creek School District Data Coordinator. I still do that role at OCM BOCES, and so my roots are really that this community is near and dear to my heart, and I have an education background, and having an education background really brings to light the premise of what public education is all about. It's about educating young people to become productive members of society, and that's what I hope to continue in this school district. I believe in this district wholeheartedly and believe that we have something really, really treasurable here. We are definitely a gem, and I'd like to stay on the board and continue the work that I've done for, this will be my 5th year now as a board member, and I really appreciate your vote on voting day. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Elizabeth Decker.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Decker. I grew up in Fairhaven. I graduated from Red Creek back in 2007. Moved away for a while, and then when my husband and I had kids, we moved back here. I have 4 kids in the district, 1 in high school, 1 in middle school, and 2 in the elementary school. I am a nurse. I have my master's degree in nursing education, so I've kind of done the higher level education. And then this year I moved into another local Wayne County school district as the school nurse, so it's kind of been eye-opening to the primary education system. But I've always been proud to have graduated from Red Creek. I think that we have a unique school district, a lot of great staff who care and really want what's best for our students. So I feel like I could bring a good perspective from my education and my school background and as a parent, so thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And the 6th, Jolene Bliss, is she here tonight? I don't see her. Okay, thank you. And again, I want the public to know that May 10th, and it's going to be 7 o'clock, correct? I believe it's going to be 7 o'clock, but keep watch on the website. That'll be the opportunity for the Red Creek Teachers Association to, again, do a Meet the Candidate night, and they'll have a format designed to be able to allow all these candidates to be able to share what it is that is near and dear to them to want to be part of the Red Creek School Board. So thank you. At this point, I want to turn this over to Dr. Corey to do a budget presentation.
Okay, thank you all for joining us this evening. Tonight we have the opportunity to present our school district budget for the 2022-23 school year. I'll be co-presenting this evening with Mr. McDonald, who is our business administrator. So just a couple budget events. The first one tonight, obviously, the budget hearing, Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022. And then our budget vote takes place from noon until 9 p.m. in the secondary school lobby on Tuesday, May 17th, 2022. So this year in our budget development, we talked a little bit, or we talked significantly about some major goals that we had. The first bullet point you'll see up there is really the sensitivity to the community's needs regarding inflation and some of the recent activities that are taking place. So including but not limited to the pandemic, social unrest, global conflict, and potential impact that some of these events have on our local economy and our district in general. So really that was one of the main factors as we developed this budget that we really considered just keeping things as fiscally responsible as we could. Maintaining existing student programming, so the programming that we have currently in place and that we've been enjoying over the course of the last couple of years, although it may look a little bit different than it did during the pandemic, we still have a lot of the same support systems in place. So maintaining those opportunities and experiences prior to COVID and also during COVID, moving forward for the 2022-23 budget. We also wanted to maintain fiscal responsibility regarding programming and operations while meeting the needs of the district and community. Goal number 4 was to maintain long-term educational, financial, and operational planning. And the last goal, maintaining and managing the district's reserves to support long-term financial plan that will ensure the sustainability of the future of Red Creek Central School District. So this slide here, we have the budget highlights. So we have our tax cap calculation, which came out to 3.24% this year. And that equates from the 21-22 to the 22-23 budget of an increase of $151,353. The proposed budget includes that increase in our tax levy of 3.24%, and this allows us to go out for a vote which would require a simple majority vote and provide the necessary resources to the district to maintain the district's budget goals, as we discussed on the previous slide.
Our current tax levy is $4,675,861. For each 1% that we increase the levy, that equates to $46,759. We are going to be going out to 3.24%, which is a $151,353 increase for a total levy of $4,827,214. What we tried to do with this slide was to show you, give you a comparison with a $100,000 assessed value home, approximately what the increase would be. The equalization rates haven't been finalized yet, so I had to use the equalization rates from the current year. So these numbers are they're not set in stone, they will change, but it'll give you somewhat of an idea as to what the potential increase could be. In the first column, you'll see our 21-22 year and our 22-23 year. 21-22 is our current levy at the $4.6 million, and the 22-23 is what we're proposing at $4.8 million. In the town of Conquest, for example, the difference would be $39.40 for a house assessed at $100,000, and Wolcott would be $41.47. All 5 towns, Conquest, Sterling, Victory, Butler, and Wolcott, are represented on this slide. Our budget highlights include, for the 21-22 budget, the total was $23,702,538. The proposed budget again for 22-23 is $24,181,814 for an increase of $479,276. That does represent a 2.02% increase over the current budget. Some of the increases that we were looking at include fuel and electricity, potential salary increases, and a health insurance increase of 21.9%. That is one of the biggest increases that we've had in health insurance costs in a long time. Usually they average between 7 and 8%. We were able to absorb some of the increase by decreasing some of our non-programming parts of the budget, which included some equipment that we decided that we just weren't going to purchase this year.
So again, some of the budget highlights on our revenue side. Our tax levy increase of 3.24% equates to an additional $151,353. So the total tax levy is $4,827,214, and we anticipate using our appropriated fund balance and reserves. Our appropriated fund balance, we've allocated $817,672. On our reserve side, we've allocated $445,000, which equates to a combination of appropriated fund balance and reserves of $1,262,672. New York State requires school districts to present a 3-part budget to the community. We're starting off here on the left-hand side. You see the administrative expenses, and then you have the program expenses and the capital expenses. Those are the 3 pieces that you will see in your budget newsletter and presented to the community. The administrative expenses include the Board of Education costs, the chief school administrator costs, business administration, so that's your entire business office, legal services, central printing and processing, other special items, and also a good portion of curriculum and development. On the program expense side, you'll see that you have, again, some more in curriculum and development, instruction, special education cost, adult education cost, pupil services, and some transportation cost in there. On the capital expenses, you see legal services, operation of plant, maintenance of plant, and then going down to the bottom, the employment benefits, debt service, and transfers. As far as debt service goes, that's a good portion of that part in the capital expenses. That's around $3 million, just under $3 million, $2.6 million. And that really is the expenses associated with going out and doing a capital project and borrowing the money and paying it back. On the or underneath debt service, you see transfers. A good portion of that, or the majority of that, is associated with capital outlay projects. So capital outlay projects are projects that we do every year to basically maintain the physical structure of the building. We have some brick pointing that's taking place this year, and that's $100,000 of that. There is other expenses in there as well. So really what I want to point out is, in a school district, when you develop your budget, the general portion or the largest portion of your three-part budget really should be your program. That's the things that are attached to student learning and student performance. So again, in there, you have your instruction, you have special education, adult education, all those things, salaries, employee benefits, and that's really the significant part of or a significant portion of that budget in there as well. So on the administrative side, we are about 10% of our budget. On the program side, we're about 72% of our budget. And on the capital side, we're about 18% of our budget.
And again, we have 6 candidates for the Board of Education. This is the order that they will appear on the ballot. Nancy J. Henner-Dingman, Lawrence E. Curtis, Stephanie L. Kaiser, Susan A. Cook, Elizabeth V. Decker, and Jolene B. Bliss.
Okay, our slide here is a bus proposition. So every year we put a proposition on the ballot to purchase 2 buses not to exceed $275,000, which we are moving forward with this year as well. So we are looking for 2 66-passenger buses. The finances for these purchases do not come from the general fund. They are purchased out of the bus reserve, and then the reserves are replenished moving forward, part of our long-term fiscal planning and purchasing cycle for transportation. So in consideration, when we were developing our budget, we had some factors that we really just wanted to point out. An average new teacher salary and benefits is approximately $74,000 for our district. A 1% tax levy increase for our district, again, as Mr. McDonald mentioned earlier, is $46,759. So with an addition of one instructional staff, we are about 1.58% added to the tax levy. So we looked at some approaches, and one of the approaches that we looked at was to really consider the use of our fund balance. So increasing staffing would increase, obviously, our expenditure side, so we need to increase our revenue side. And when you do that, we would be potentially allocating more funds from our appropriated fund balance. We have done an analysis of our appropriated fund balance, and we are looking for long-term sustainability there, so we found that it wasn't fiscally responsible to do that at that time. One of the other things that we had to consider, again, as Mr. McDonald mentioned earlier, was a significant increase due to health insurance. So in our area, our health insurance cost increased 21.9%, which is, as he mentioned earlier, a significant increase, and quite honestly, an increase that we've never seen. That's a really, really significant increase. So that equates to about $600,000 of additional money needed in our budget. So as Mr. McDonald mentioned, we really evaluated our line items and we made some reductions. So I can give you some examples. You know, we have a 5-year cycle of purchasing equipment, could be in maintenance, could be transportation. So we've actually adjusted some of that and reduced our spending in those areas so that we can offset some of that $600,000 expenditures that were needed. And another approach that we looked at was the possible reduction of staff in order to accommodate that. We did not do that. We are not reducing any staff at this point in time with this budget. We're sustaining the staff that we have currently in existence, and we're moving forward with the programs that we've enjoyed in the past. But we thought it was important to point out, if we were going to add one additional staff member at $74,000, that would equate to approximately 3 reductions in non-instructional staff. And our non-instructional staff are very valuable to us, so we wanted to make sure that we're also sustaining the non-instructional staff as well as the instructional staff that we have in place. And really, all of those things are big considerations that we had in developing this budget. We really believe that this is a fiscally responsible budget, one that's going to put our district in a good position for long-term planning, and also kind of accommodates some of those issues that were unanticipated. We do have some ESSER funds that are coming through. Those are some of the state and federal grant money that will be utilized due to the gap in COVID, or gap of instruction due to COVID. And we will see some increase in our staffing due to the use of those ESSER funds. But that is not reflective in this budget. So you won't see any additional staff that says we're going to add this teacher, and this teacher in this particular budget, but you will see throughout the course of next year that there will be some additional staff in this district. We're just going to be utilizing those funds differently. The last thing is the Red Creek Library proposition. The district ballot serves as a flow-through for the library, the funding for both Fairhaven and Red Creek libraries. This has no impact on the school district's budget. The Red Creek Library has requested that we include a proposition this year for an additional amount of $12,000, which equals a total amount of $64,000. So at this time, I'd like to invite Tina Johnson, Mrs. Johnson, up here to discuss the Red Creek Library.
All right, good evening. I'm Tina Johnson. I'm a member of the Red Creek Free Library Board of Trustees. We are asking for some additional money from the tax levy to offset our operational expenses. The Red Creek Free Library is an asset to our community. Along with borrowing books and magazines, the library provides such opportunities as story hour, computer usage, mammograms, blood drives, internet assistance, entertainment in the form of movies, crafts, etc., and free outdoor Wi-Fi when the library is closed for anyone to use. The library also has a partnership with the Red Creek Central School. The library plans activities and events during the school breaks for students. It also provides a wonderful summer reading program. Something new this year has been a parent literacy program. Also, the school has an electronic book source called Sora. The school has around 1,400 titles through Sora. But through Sora, students can access the library's OWL system, which has an additional 14,000 titles for students to choose from. All of these programs are cost-free for community members. The Red Creek Free Library provides a safe, inviting atmosphere for all who come in. And I invite you to visit, especially if you've never been there. Thank you.
Okay, and at this time, we are at the question-answer portion of our presentation. We have any questions? Brad, do you want to?
Yeah, does anybody have any questions regarding the budget as it's been described and outlined at all for these gentlemen to be able to answer? Or certainly Mrs. Johnson, if anything regarding the library, if somebody had a question for that. Board members, anyone? Yes, Elizabeth.
Under that legal services, for the three-part budget, they have us put the public information portion into the legal services for some reason. And that was an additional $113,000. That is a BOCES program that we're going to be going through. It is also something that we are going to be putting into, or we're going to be paying for with ESSER funds, but we put it into this budget so that we wouldn't have a problem when the ESSER funds dried up. It would already be built into the budget, and we could potentially use those funds for something else. That was the Public Information Service from BOCES. They actually were the ones that designed this newsletter this year for us.
Thank you. Any board members, questions? Certainly community. I think, certainly, Mrs. Johnson, I appreciate you coming tonight. I think it's important that we hear about the asset of the library to our community. I know many kids that utilize it, and I should utilize it more myself. So, I appreciate you coming and giving an explanation on that. Thank you. No questions, anyone? No. Thank you, Mrs. Decker, for the question. Any other further business, anyone? The board? Okay, now, again, a reminder to the public that there's the Meet the Candidate Night on May 10th. Keep watch on that on the website. There'll be information on that. Tomorrow night, we have our regular scheduled board meeting back here at 6:30 tomorrow evening. And then certainly on the 17th, as Dr. Corey had announced, voting right in the lobby from noon to 9, correct? Noon to 9. So hopefully we have a great turnout of the community to give their voice through their vote, and certainly hopefully a full support for the budget and for the school as a whole. So without any other business, anyone? Motion to adjourn? Mrs. Allen, a second. Mrs. Cook, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you for coming tonight, everyone. Safe drive home.